I give the floor to Ms. Joyce Foni of the Women's Refugee Commission.
It's Foni Joyce. I'm 24 and a refugee living in Kenya. Leaving your home and abandoning what you worked to build is not something that anyone does voluntarily. But this was the choice my parents had in 1991 when civil war ravaged my home country. My parents feared for our lives. They knew that we were not safe in South Sudan, as my father was a journalist who was wrongly accused of being an informant and collaborating with rebels. They trekked through the night towards Uganda and traveled for 17 days until they got to Nimule, a border town. My father still felt that the weight of fear that the people were pursuing him. By God's grace, he met a truck driver with Kenyan background who had just delivered goods. And he decided that it was better going to Kenya than staying in Juba. My story is not unique. War leads to migration. Refugee movement will not reduce as long as the persistent cycles of conflict we see around the world continue. My home country is a tragic example. Fighting in South Sudan that broke out this July between rival factions has forced more than 37,000 people to flee the country and head to Uganda. It's heartbreaking to see such violence continue for my country 25 years after my own family took this opportunity and fled our country. The best way to address these challenges is to give refugees the tools that we need to become the engineers of peace, stability, and development to rebuild our nations. In this effort, the potential of refugee youth largely remains untapped. This must change. Refugee youth want the same things young people around the world want. They want to be consulted, they want to be listened to, they want to contribute, we want to engage, and we also want to be part of solutions. This year, I participated in the Global Refugee Youth Consultation, which was organized by UNHCR and the World Women Refugee Commission with partners. More than 1,200 young people from 22 countries contributed to these consultations. And here are some of the actions that, as young refugee youth, we feel that governments, the United Nations, NGOs, and everyone else can do so that we can work together. First, we need to work to empower young refugees by facilitating opportunities for youth to voice their ideas, engage in decision-making processes, and develop their leadership potentials. Secondly, recognize and build upon young refugees' existing knowledge, skills, capacities, and qualifications. Support access to learning opportunities. Include formal and non-formal education skills building and job training. Facilitate employment and livelihood opportunities. Third, we need to make sure that young refugees have access to personal documentation, freedom of movement, protective services that are attuned to their needs and ensure their safety. Fourth, we need to support young refugees to access services and activities that support their mental, emotional, physical health and happiness, and their ability to engage and develop socially, physically, spiritually, and emotionally with their peers, family, and the community. Lastly, we need to channel and reinforce young refugees' abilities to build connections and relationships across cultural, linguistic, political, and other differences, and support them to contribute meaningfully to peaceful building processes. The solution to addressing large movements of refugees and migrants is right in front of us. As young people, we have so much to offer. Given support, skill building, and empowerment, we can help mend our homelands to become more prosperous, secure places for the next generations to live. We need to act now. Thank you.
I thank Ms. Joyce Foni for her statement, and I now